Going into this final preseason game, as the team sits right now, what is a thing or two that you are confident in with this team?
I'm confident that this starting offense is going to be fine. I think the first series we saw Brock Purdy play like Brock Purdy, and the offense moved the the way that the offense moved under Brock Purdy. Not necessarily any huge plays that he made, but he got the ball to the right players with the right scheme that Kyle Shanahan did. He showed his elusiveness, and I think everything that he has is gonna. This offense is gonna be competitive enough to win, which is, what we need. Um, I think that we found our Jawan Jennings replacement in the future in Ronnie Bell. I think that that's a big deal because more than likely this will be the last year we have Jawan Jennings on the team. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have a guy like that could just step in and be in that role. Um, and I think that secondary. I was a little bit worried about that. I know we still don't know who our nickel is, but I think that the safeties and at least the starters, and it seems like we might have some depth there behind them, should be okay. Still yet to be seen how great they're going to be, but at least I don't think they're as big of a weakness as I thought they might be.
Yeah, I that's actually where I was gonna go. I think the two areas for me are wide receiver because we've got two that are likely not going to start at least healthy on this roster, and they still are fine because of guys like Ronnie Bell or Conley or whoever they end up having on this team on this roster to begin week one. And then you've got guys and Danny Gray who was developing nicely before the injury, and then obviously we have a guy who was essentially a spot starter last year when they needed him, who's ready to come back as well. So the receiving core I'm very confident in. Also, the secondary, I'm very confident in. That is the one area that Wilkes knows what he's doing. And I know that right now they're kind of mix and matching. We assume that Oliver would be the nickel. That doesn't seem to be the case, but I think that's fine. We haven't even seen a guy like Luter yet on this
Right.
roster playing, and that was the guy that most people were very excited about. So once he comes back healthy, you've got even more ammo there. The 49ers are very deep and, more importantly, young in the secondary right now. However, I will say this. I hope that if they're going to kick Lenore inside, I hope Womack is the starter and not Ambry Thomas. I'm rooting for Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas has looked good for the most part during the preseason, but I am afraid that once he plays number one wide receivers on a regular basis, that's not going to look so well. And the reason that I say that is in practice when he was going up against the ones, which happened quite a bit because Travarius Ward would miss a ton of snaps. It was literally, when you play pickup basketball at 24-hour fitness or whatever, and then you inevitably either you're this guy because you're little or somebody on the other team's little, and you always call out mouse in the house and you
Mm-hmm.
attack that player over and over and over. That's the way it was when Ambry Thomas was on the field. It was like they went into the huddle, said mouse is in the house, attacked Ambry Thomas, and they repeatedly abused that matchup. So much so that by day 4, and Rohan will tell you this, I would turn to Rohan and be like, Ambry's on the field, slant Brandon Ayuk. That's exactly what would happen every single time. Like, it was without fail. So he's looked good so far, but he really hasn't played those elite guys yet. And I am concerned that when they actually start playing good wide receivers, the CD Lambs, the DK Metcalfs, what have you, that it's going to look really bad really quick with Ambry. I like the way he's developing. I like the way that he's played so far this preseason. I'm happy for him. He's definitely looking like he's going to make the roster, which is awesome. I was worried about him going into the offseason. However, I would like to see him continue to develop before he starts to play again. I don't have as much confidence in him as I do Womack, but the secondary as a whole, having a guy like Jair Brown coming off the bench, having guys like Luter potentially coming off the bench, or even an Ambry Thomas, Oliver, those types of guys, I am very, very confident in the depth and how young, how youthful this secondary is, which is different than what we've been able to say in the past. The youth has not been there. And I think more importantly than any position, the corner position is a position of youth in the NFL.